This is an active class with focus on core and balance. We'll start in a seated meditation with the legs crossed. You can sit up on a bolster or a cushion to help keep the spine long. Start to find your breath, especially focusing on the exhales. We're going to move with breath, so I'll show you my posture from the side. When you exhale, you want to round your back, so you can shrug your shoulders, and then you're going to curl your fingers up almost like a zombie, but keep your back round until you reach your arms up over your head. Then you can sit up tall in a neutral spine and pull your arms back behind you, so dragging them back as if there's a wall back there. Should feel good in the neck and shoulders, and then release your arms to the front. We'll start back with that rounding, so exhale all the way, pulling your belly button in. Start to lift your arms up as you take air in. Then once your arms are overhead, you should be breathed in fully. You can exhale all the way down and back with the arms. Inhale once your arms are at the bottom, and we'll go again. Exhaling to round up. But then once your arms get up past your head, you can start taking air in. Breathe into a neutral spine. And exhale again to slide the arms down, this time taking them out the back. You can place your arms right behind you this time. So I'm going to stay on my fingertips for now to lift my chin, but if it feels better to go flat onto your hands, you can do this as well. Lift up in the chin. Now we're extending the back, so making space between the vertebrae. Tuck the chin forward to release. And then walk your hands out in front of you, fold over the legs, bowing the head. Calm your body. Calm your breath. And then you can press into your sitting bones, start to roll yourself back up to the top. And switch the crossing of the legs. So whatever leg was in the front goes to the back. You can come back down right away into your forward folds, resting on hands or forearms, and then bowing the head over the legs. While you're at the bottom, if it feels good to move your head side to side, you can go ahead and do so. And then on an inhale, rising back up to the top. Sit up nice and tall, shrug your shoulders back. Then we're going to stretch the wrists. So you can take one arm forward, pull your fingers down and back. And then shake it off. We'll do the other side. Pull the fingers down and back. And go ahead, shake it off. So you can put your bolster or cushion to the side. We're going to come into child's pose with the knees wide, toes together. Sinking your hips down and back and rest your head down. Start to notice your breath, because we're going to be moving on the breath. You can already start to imagine your hips sinking back deeper with every exhale, your body getting longer with each inhale. On your next cycle of breath, you can inhale forward and then bring your shoulders over your fingertips. Exhale back. Same thing. Inhale forward. Shoulders will go over your wrists and the hips can dip down slightly. So it's like a modified plank. You can come in and out at your own pace. We're starting to warm up the hip flexors and the spine. to get a little more warm up in your spine. You can come up into an arched spine, sort of like a cow pose, lifting your chest and your tailbone. You can move as fast as me or move slower. When you're ready, walk over towards your right side and send your hips back to the left. I'm going to stay lifted so that I stay active through my left side. And then let's switch sides. So go ahead and walk your hands over to the left and press your hips back to the right. And again, I'm staying lifted because it's just a little more active of a stretch. It'll warm me up where I need to feel warm for the rest of the practice. And then come back to center. Walk your legs nice and tight together so that you can squeeze your thighs together, and you're going to round your back like we did in the beginning in the seated. So you're exhaling to curl your fingers, come up kind of like a zombie. Then once your arms start to pass your head, breathe into a neutral spine. And exhale to slide your arms down. Sorry, I have a plant in the way. Slide your arms down and back. It should feel good in the shoulders. Let's do it one more time. So exhale to round your spine, pull your belly button in. Then once your arms start to reach past your head, take a breath into a neutral spine, look up, reach up. And then exhale to bring your arms back, pulling your shoulders back further than your chest. Exhale, bring your fingertips to the floor. So I'm going to stay light on my fingertips and find a cat pose. So there's a super rounding in the back, tucking of the tailbone. You can touch your chin to your chest. And then if it doesn't feel good to stay on the fingertips, you could place your hand flat down. But I like to stay on my fingertips so that I'm getting it in my back where I need it. Come into a neutral table and find some knee support. We'll start by patting the left knee. So your tabletop still, you want to be stacked. Hips over knees, wrists under shoulders. You can kick back your right leg. Make your leg as straight as you can, like there's a wall behind you. You're kicking your heel into it. Extend your left arm. So you're stretching all the way across the body. You can pull your abdomen up towards your spine so that your midsection feels strong and tight. Then exhale, go ahead and place your left hand down, put your right foot to the floor, and start to press just your heel back. So we're doing this to stretch the back of the leg from the heel to the back of the knee, our calf muscles. Kick your leg over to the left side, and then you're going to cinch your waist on the left side and look towards your toes. So you should feel a nice long stretch in your right side when you do this, puffing your ribcage out to the right, curling your head into the left. Then go ahead and bring the leg back and come into a child's pose, removing the knee support. Noticing the legs, and if you feel any differences in your left side or your right side. And we're going to come up and do the other side. So find your knee support, place it underneath of the right knee. Again, making sure the stacking is good. So knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. This time, kick the left leg back behind you. Press back through your heel. Try to keep the legs straight. You can extend your right arm forward. So you're stretching all the way across the body from left to right. Pull the muscles in the midsection up towards your spine so your core is strong and active. That helps you to balance. and keep your eyes focused at one point on the floor. You can go ahead and put your right hand down, keep your left leg lifted. You're going to step your left toes back onto the floor and then press back into that heel so you feel a big stretch in the back of the leg. You can use your arms to drive the weight of your body back. Then pick up the leg, kick it across, and curl your body in towards your right side. So you're looking at your right hip or your left toes and pushing your ribs out towards the left side. So you're opening up the entire left side body. Go ahead and gather the leg back in, and we'll come one more time into a child's pose. So move the knee support right out of the way. Have your knees together, your body stretched out. Notice your breath. So I like to do a little wrist work here in the child's pose, interlacing my fingers and making some circles. You can even make a Anjali Mudra and tuck it behind your head. I find that helps to stretch my shoulders a bit. So we are going to do a bit of work in the wrists. So if at any point it's too much, you can jump ahead to a forward fold or go back to the child's pose till you're ready. But for now, find a nice stacked up tabletop, and you can lift your tailbone and your chest as you breathe in, round your back as you exhale. You can move at the same pace that I'm moving, or faster or slower. Then go ahead and find a neutral tabletop. You can float your knees and push the weight back, so like you're a cat about to pounce, and then lift your butt up as high as you can. So the knees might stay bent. You're gonna try to straighten them out, whether you do one at a time or both together, up to you. But then slowly bring the knees back down. So there's the wrist work I was warning you about. We're going to do the same thing again. So try to load the legs first. You can keep as much of a bend in the knees as you can. And then try to pedal them out at the top. And then when you're ready, walk your feet forward physically so that you can find Uttasana or forward fold. So I like to do a bit of a horse stance with my feet wide and my elbows resting on my thighs, just so I can give my back some rest and shake out my head. You can do this variation with me, or if you have another way like you like to do your Uttanasana, maybe interlocking the wrists, the elbows, and draping forward. You can sway side to side and start your journey upwards. So pulling your belly button in, squeezing your buttocks to rise to the top. Once you come all the way up, lift up through the crown of the head, roll the shoulders back. We're going to head right back down. So imagine that your knuckles are lead weights. You want to pull your abdomen in, bend your knees, keep your buttocks active so the glutes and the legs are working as you roll in towards yourself and down towards the floor. Once you get all the way to the bottom of your fold, you can hang out for a few moments, and then we'll head back up. Breathing in as you rise up, pulling your abdomen in tightly, squeezing the buttocks. And then rise up to the top and roll the shoulders back. Let's do that one more time. So keep your hands close to your body as you roll down, tucking your chin, moving slowly until you come all the way down to your Uttanasana. You can hang out for a few moments, sway side to side, move the weight from your left leg to your right leg, move your torso up and down or side to side. Then we're going to take the hands up to the shins or just above the knees. Lift your chest up, so making your spine long, but should almost feel like your cow pose. So you're lifting your tailbone, lifting your chest, bring your hands to your hips, and rise all the way up to the top. You can step your feet tight together and bring your hands to your low back. So your fingertips are touching your butt. And then squeeze your elbows together, pull your shoulders together, but keep lifting the sternum up towards the ceiling. So everything is hugging in towards the midline and then lifting up and back. It's a supported back bend. Squeeze your thighs together, come up to the center, and then bring your arms up to your head. So you can see me, my fingertips are just touching my head. I'm not gripping on my head or anything. We're going to move through some half moons. So it's an inhale to the top and an exhale to reach up through your elbow. So inhale to the top and exhale over. You can move side to side at your own pace. So for this one, if you go slower, it's more challenging. And quicker, we tend to skip out on a lot of the work that's being done in the obliques. So we want to stay longer and feel our body working, feel our core working, because that's how we get stronger. Keep a light grip with the hands and then open up in the center. Reach your thumbs back, lift your chest up, squeeze your inner thighs together. Exhale and draw your hands into heart center. Take a few moments, notice your breath, notice your feet on the floor. So feet are an important part of balance. You can start rocking the weight forward and back. And I'll show you from the side. So you can keep it small or go right up onto the balls of the feet. And then slowly take your feet down. You want to be cautious with the feet. There's all kinds of little working bones and tendons and ligaments in the feet. So we want to be careful when we train the feet. It's very important to train the feet for our day-to-day use. But always being careful to not overdo it, because our feet have to carry the whole weight of our bodies all day. Shake off your feet. And now we're moving up the legs. So this next little sequence is going to work the ankles, the calf muscle, and then also the inner thigh. So we're going to do some balancing and stepping back. First, lift up your left leg into Balakikasana or crane pose. You want to engage your hip flexor. So stand up tall, don't lean back too much. You should lean a bit forward and pull your thigh up towards your abdomen. Point your toe. We'll move slowly. So as you draw the left leg back, you're going to reach your arms out in front of you. So this counterweight helps with the balance. And then take your time. You don't have to go back as far as you may think. Your heel can finish the motion. And then take a breath in and lift your arms up overhead. Stretch up to the ceiling, get tall. And then exhale to extend the arms forward. Put power in your right leg to bring your left leg all the way back up into Balakikasana, our crane pose. Point the toe. We're going to do this 2 more times. So start to send the leg back, bending your right knee as you go. And then once you're ready, set the ball of the foot down, follow through with the heel. On an in-breath, extend your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, same thing. Bring the arms forward, start to power up through your right leg. Draw your left leg in, use your inner thighs, use your calf muscles. The whole leg might be shaking right now. Draw your thigh in towards your abdomen, hands to heart center. And then last time, kicking your leg out and back. Go slow. This is where we build our strength. Inhale to raise the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale. So we're going to finish the movement. Bring your arms forward. We're coming back up to Balakikasana. Take your time. Bring the leg all the way up to the top and point the toe. And then you're going to cross it over the right leg. So your left leg is crossing over your right. Sorry, there's a pole in front of me. It's hard to see. Also hard to see my arms, but I'm taking my right wrist. My left wrist. And I'm going to stretch up and over to the right side. So I'm opening up the left side of the body. And come back to center. Release your arms down. Release your legs from the crossing. We're going to have a bit of a break before we move on. So you can take your feet as wide as your mat. Come back into a horse stance or Uttanasana, forward folding. Take your time to get there. Relax your head. Just know too that if you have a piece of furniture nearby and it feels better to just sort of lean on the wall or lean on the furniture, it's a good alternative to the forward fold if you find that the forward fold is difficult for your legs or your low back. Let's make our way back up slowly. And then we're going to do the opposite side. So come back up to the front of your mat if you're not there. And this time we're working with the right leg. So lift your right leg up into Balakikasana, crane pose, point the toe. Check in with your back. So you should be nice and tall. If anything, leaned forward, never back. And then start your journey back. Stretching back through your foot. Once you place the ball of the foot down, you can follow through with the heel. And with a big inhale, lift your arms up overhead. On an exhale, the arms extend forward. Power up through the right leg this time. Power up through the left leg as you draw your right leg in and up. And then we're heading back down. So keep your eyes focused as you move. Take your time. We have 2 more. This time we cross the leg over. So if you were in a different part of your flow, you can join up with me. So this time it's the right leg in front of the left and you're taking your right arm over to your left side. So kind of similar to the stuff we did in the warm-up when we were in the tabletop, if you can remember back to then. We're stretching the whole side body, so right around the ribs on the right side. Come back to center, undo the crossing of the legs. Find your feet together, hands to heart center, and notice how you feel. From here, we're going to step the legs out wide, so super wide. If you bring your arms up onto the horizon, your feet should be about the distance of your elbows or your forearms. My heels are tucked in, my toes are pointed out, so I can shift my weight from side to side. I want to send my butt back when I do this, so I'm getting a little more stretch in my groin, and there's less weight going into the knees. Stand up nice and tall, lift up all 10 toes, and then on an exhale, bend your knees and sink your hips down and back. So you should feel sort of exercise tension, but also some flexibility tension. You can dip your left elbow into the center, and then dip your right elbow into the center. So now feeling a stretch in the middle of the back to sort of help balance and counterbalance what we're feeling in the legs. You can move faster than me or slower than me as you dip your shoulders in one at a time. And then sink your hips and press all the way up to the top. Bring your arms up to a cactus shape. Let's find our goddess pose. So sit your hips back down. Imagine there's a wall behind you, so you're pushing your back, your elbows, your shoulders into that wall. Lifting your sternum up to the ceiling, you can find a little bit of a pulse as you work on the legs, the inner thighs, the core muscles. So this is where we get stronger. Press through your heels, inhale to rise all the way up. Bring your hands to your hips and you're going to pivot your feet one at a time so that your feet are parallel, your toes are pointed forward. And then, pardon me, I have a sneeze. To head back, I'll show you from the side because it's important how your back does this. Your feet are parallel, you're going to bend your knees and stick your butt back so you can kind of do a little curly shape with your butt. This is a neutral spine, and then you're going to scoop up and back. So now my pelvis is tilted forward and my torso can sort of spill out of the pelvis. I'll still take my time going down, walking down the legs. But by doing that little scoop at the beginning, it already gets me a step ahead of if I just tried to crawl down towards the floor. If you can get to the floor, even with just the touch of a fingertips, you're going to move front, middle, and back. You can do that a couple times, front, middle, and then try to go back through the legs. You're really going to feel it behind the legs. So from the heels to the butt is working hard. Maybe you feel some work in your groin as well. I promise it's our last standing position. So go ahead now, take a rest by holding opposite elbows or opposite wrists. You can sway your torso from side to side. And then we're going to move from here to the floor. So we should be pretty close to the floor to start to lower the body to the floor. You can set up sideways on your mat so that you can tuck in the edge of the mat. And it's super important to tuck in the mat here because we're going to be on the inside of the knee, which can be a little more tender. You want to set your legs up so that your shins are parallel and your feet are flexing. So I'll show you from the back. It's easier to see. It's like a child's pose, except that my shin bones are parallel and my feet are flexing like a frog. It's called frog pose for a reason. And the way that we have the feet is going to really help to protect the knees, but also to keep the legs in a good place to get a stretch that's safe for the groin. So I like to use a bolster here to fold over. It's a very uncomfortable pose, so any way that you can make it a little more comfortable is good. I'm going to sink down onto my bolster and rock a bit from side to side. You can also try rocking forward and back. It hurts a lot to rock back. And try to breathe through it. Soften your face. If at any point you need to come out of this stretch, child's pose is not too far away. But try to stay in, or if you did come out, try to come back in. So if we set up this pose properly, the benefits for the body can be incredible because it really opens up the inner thighs and the hips, which in turn gives us more freedom in the low back. It helps to improve digestion and decrease stress because ultimately we're living with a little less pain if we take this pain right now for the hips. All right, it's time to come out. So you can come up onto your arms, tuck your feet in, make your way back into a child's pose right away. I'm doing a child's pose with my knees together too because it's a good counter pose for that wide hip opening. All right, we have one more pose in the kneeling position. So you can come up to a camel, squeeze your thighs together, bring your hands to your low back, like a supported back bend. So that's exactly what we do in the camel pose. You're going to keep squeezing everything into the midline, but lift your nose, lift your chin, lift your sternum up to the ceiling, and start to peel back. So the more you open your neck, the more benefit you can have in the thyroid. Sometimes it can feel dizzy, so adjust accordingly. And then once you feel complete, you can slide your hips down and release down into a seat. More core work. So no bolster yet. We're going to sit on the floor and lift the legs up for a boat pose. So this is variation 1, holding onto your knees. Variation 2, your hands are going to be free to the side. And number 3, legs are straight, chest is lifted. But then you need to have a long back. So really scoop up your low back. I find 1 or 2 is best for me with the way that my back goes. You can cross your legs now, put your hands on the floor, lift your hips up. So we're doing 3 sets. We're gonna hold each boat for 3 breaths. Here we go again. Lift your legs up, choose 1, 2, or 3. And then go ahead and cross your legs. Press your hands into the floor. Lift what you can. So maybe you're just pushing into the floor, trying to lift. Maybe you get your butt up a half an inch, a whole inch, whatever you can do. Our last round, so bring your legs up. Choose the method you keep your arms, the method you keep your legs. Breathing. And then go ahead, cross your legs, push your hands into the floor, lift what you can. And then go ahead and find your bolster. Take a seat on the bolster and start with your feet together, Baddha Konasana. You can flutter your knees up and down. Wiggle your shoulders or your head if it feels good. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Get nice and tall on the right side. Then you're going to bring your right hand down to your thigh and push your head over to the left side. So we're really opening up the hip flexor, opening up the hip on that side. Then you can take your right hand back down to your feet. This time you're going to inhale and stretch your left arm up towards the ceiling. Get nice and tall. And then press onto the thigh. Send your shoulders away. Then bring both hands back to the feet. Flutter your knees. First variation of the forward fold is with your chest lifted. So keep your head up and start to come down with a tall spine. So you're not going to feel a lot of change with that first one. With the second one, we're still on the first one, so I won't say anything yet. You can still just lean forward. You don't feel a lot of change in your body, but you should feel a whole lot happening in the groin. Okay, now we're on variation 2. This is one of my favorites. So you're tucking your chin, you're rounding your back to come down. And I'll show you from the front. I like to nestle my elbows or my forearms into the crook of my legs. So I make one nice little package rolling in towards myself. And using my arms, using the weight of my torso to open up the thighs even more. Maybe even bringing them down to the floor. You can press into your sitting bones, start your journey upwards, rise up to the top. Then you can kick out your left leg, keep your right foot tucked in. Different ways to do this pose. You can make a footprint inside of the left leg. If you feel like your knee is lifted, then it might be a good idea to put a cushion underneath of the right knee. Have your strap nearby. And then another variation I'd like to offer, if you want to make it more challenging, you can put your right leg on top of your left thigh. Don't do this if your knee is bent. So if your knee is bent, then take the first variation I said, making a footprint on the inside of the left thigh. If you can get your leg all the way straight, then you can put your right foot on top. And that's going to push your leg down a bit more, so it'll increase the stretch behind the left leg. Walk your hands down the strap. Bow your chest over the leg, hinging from the hips. And once you arrive in the pose, notice your breath. And in yoga, we use a mantra, let, exhale, go. So we're letting the breath in. And on the exhale, we're letting go of any tension that we're storing in the body. You can tug on the strap, come up to a tall spine. We're going to go from here to a twist, so don't switch to the next side quite yet. We're still working with the right leg. I like to cross mine over. I find it's easier for me to get my left arm around, but you could also keep your foot on the inside of the left. Up to you. Once you get your leg in place, put your arms behind you and try to just sit up tall, flexing your left foot. You're going to lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Get really tall. And then dive down across your right leg. So I like to spend a little extra time really placing the back of my left arm against the thigh. On an inhale, sit up tall. And as you exhale, you can start your journey towards the back. So really using the shoulders to twist. Every inhale, you're sitting taller. Every exhale, you're twisting the shoulders, the head, the neck, and looking back. So we'll start to come back around. You can unravel all the way over to the left side. Find a counter twist. So twist with a proud chest over the left side. Look back. And then return to the center. We'll go ahead with the other side. So we start from the beginning of the sequence. Straighten out your right leg. Shake off your feet. Then this time we're tucking in the left leg so you can make a footprint inside of the right thigh. If you find you need a cushion, even if your leg's close to the ground, I recommend the cushion so your leg has something to rest into. The more the body can rest, the deeper you can go in the stretch because there's less psychological tension. And then if you did the variation last time of putting your thigh on top, your foot on top of the thigh, you can do the same one here. Just make sure that if you do that, it's easy, it's comfortable to keep the right leg straight. If there's a bend in the right knee, no worries, but we'll keep the left foot inside the thigh. Walk your hands down the strap, hinge from the hips, and fold over the right leg, keeping your toes pointed up, tucking your chin. We're here just a moment longer. Press into your sitting bones, tug on the strap, lift up. And then exhale to release, let your strap to the side. You're going to lift up your left leg and cross it over the right, or if you did a twist with the left foot on the inside, then you can go ahead and place it on the inside. Reach your arms back behind you, proud chest. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Lift up as high as you can in the spine and the right side, and then dive your arm down so that the back of the arm connects with the thigh. And really take a bit of time to wiggle down. Every breath in, you're going to sit up tall. And every exhale, you're twisting your shoulders, turning your chin to look towards the back of the room. On an exhale, you can unravel to the center. We'll go all the way around and turn to the right side. Proud chest, look back over your right shoulder. And then come back to center. You can let your left leg out in front. Have your strap nearby. Have your bolster nearby. We're going to head down to the floor. So make your way onto your back. Once you arrive on your back, you can sway your knees from side to side. Trying to loosen up in the hips. We did so much for the hips and the hip flexors today. All in an effort for our core. We've still got a few more core moves. So to start, press your hands into the floor. You're going to roll your hips up into a bridge pose, using your inner thighs to lift up, pushing into your heels. Try not to squeeze your butt and slowly roll your hips back down to the floor. This time, as you lift your hips, you'll bring your arms up over your head. So extend your arms up all the way overhead, push into your heels, lift your hips as high as you can. Big breath in. On an exhale, start to roll your back down, bringing your arms back down to the sides as well. Let's do that again. So as your arms lift up, you're rolling your spine. Start with your tailbone, low back, middle of the back, upper back. Press into your heels and squeeze your butt. And then exhale, start your journey back. So lifting your arms back up, starting to roll your body down. Your hips and your arms should arrive close to the same time. We're going to do it again. Take a breath in, lift the arms up, start to roll your spine up, starting from the bottom, middle, upper back. Press your hips all the way up, squeeze your glutes for this one. And then release your glutes and start to roll your back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Taking time, remembering that we're starting to work the core again. So notice the muscles of the abdomen working and glue your low back to the floor. Bring your shins up onto the horizon, point your toes, reach your arms out to the side. On an exhale, your knees can lower to one side and hover. As you inhale, come back up to center. So exhale to lower to the side, inhale to lift up. The more you move your feet away from your body, so the more you start to straighten out the legs, the more challenging it is. Or alternately, if you need more challenge, you could bring your legs up straight instead of having the 90-degree bend at the knees. So how much you hover is up to you. The deeper you go, the more challenging, but you need to always have the strength to inhale and come back to center. Alternately, if you find this too easy, then maybe you need to hover your knees a little deeper and test your boundaries. When you finish the next set, you can come up and tuck yourself into a tight little ball. We're going to do some kind of funny core work from here. So it's like a tiny bicycle. The legs are always going to stay tucked in to protect the low back, but you're going to tuck your right leg in tighter towards your nose And then go ahead and tuck your left leg in tighter towards your nose. So keep your legs fairly close into the body. I'm going to keep one hand on each knee to make sure that my knees don't go too far. But each time the knee comes in, I'm lifting my shoulders and my head, trying to crunch up towards the knee and press my low back actively to the floor. You should feel the core working, the bottom of the abdomen. The longer you stay on each side with the nose touching the knee, the more effort your abdomen has to put in. When you're ready, you can come down onto your back, release your legs, and find your yoga strap. We'll start with the strap hooked around the ball of the right foot. Once you get the strap onto the foot, you can straighten and bend your leg a couple times, manually working the knee joint. And then the next time you bring your legs straight, you want to keep it as straight as you can. So sometimes to keep it straight, we have to take it a little bit away from the body. So even though we desire to get it in nice and close, what's more important is that the leg is straight, and that usually means that the hips are even in the sockets. So that's good for the low back. We're getting more strength, more pull in the low back. You can grip tighter to your strap, open up your hip to the side, kick your right leg out to the right side, and turn your head over to the left. Feel the stretch now coming from the groin all the way up to the heel of the foot. And then take a breath in, pull your leg up through center, and exhale to take it across, trying to keep it as straight as you can, pressing through the ball of your foot. I have a plant in the way again. I'm going to stretch out my right arm as a counterbalance so that my hips don't twist all the way over. Go ahead and bring your right leg back up to center, and then put your left foot into the strap and bring your right leg down. We'll start on the left side, so bending and straightening the left leg to manually work the knee, warm up the hamstring. And then try to just keep the legs straight. So pressing up into your strap. Like I mentioned last time, sometimes you have to take it further away from the body to keep the legs straight. And that's where you really get the work done, where you feel the stretch happening. And then go ahead and kick the leg over to the left side, trying to keep it as straight as you can. So you're feeling a stretch in the groin. You can open your right knee as well. Then go ahead and bring your leg up through the center. You can switch your hand so that you can take it across now. Bring your left arm out as a counterweight. Really push your foot into the strap to intensify the stretch. And then go ahead and slide your leg back up to the top. Undo the strap. And send your left leg down. You can sway your knees again from side to side. We're going to finish with an even deeper spinal twist. Cross your right leg over your left, scoot your hips to your right. I'm going to use a bolster so that my knees have something to rest into. My knees are going to fall over to the left side as my head turns to the right. So try to commit either shoulders on the floor and the knee is reaching for something like a pillow or the floor. Or if you prefer to do it the other way and get your knees all the way down and then work on rolling your shoulder down to the floor. I myself prefer to keep my shoulders grounded and work on my lower body. But find out what works for you. Come to center, undo the crossing, shift your hips back to center, and we'll do the other side. So fortunately I have 2 bolsters, so I don't have to adjust too much. I'm going to scooch my hips to the left and then lower the knees to the right. My head's going to look out the left side, so I'm looking opposite of where my knees go. So that twist in the spine, it follows all the way through up to the top of the spine, my cervical spine or my neck. Getting into the last moments of practice, so you really want to calm down your breath as you stay in this twist. And then go ahead and bring your legs back to center, undo the crossing, slide your hips to the center of the mat. We're going to close the practice with a fish pose, so you can come up and set up your bolsters directly behind your seat. I'm going to use 2 just so I have a little more height and I feel more stretch in my back. You can slowly roll down onto the bolsters and reach your arms up overhead. Stretching all the way through the back. It can feel good to sway the hips left and right, loosening up at the bottom of the spine. And then maybe step your feet wide and tuck your knees in towards each other so you feel stable and supported. The arms can stay overhead. You could choose to reach them to the sides or even placing them onto the body. We're going to take Savasana in this fish pose or this supported back bend. If you prefer to do another pose as your closing posture, maybe legs up the wall or legs over a chair. Sometimes happy baby might be a good one to finish the pose with, but I'm going to leave you here, focusing on breath. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice with me. Namaste.